51% of Americans who make 100K a year plus still live paycheck to paycheck. So how do we go from that to saving up $100,000 inside of 3 years? Now I know this sounds impossible, but this is exactly how I did it, and I just saved up my first 100K cash, and you can do it too using the 92 rule. First off, unlike when you're saving your first $10,000, which mostly comes from saving, if you're trying to get to that next level of saving $100,000, you're not only gonna have to save money, you're gonna have to earn more money, and I'm gonna go over some ways that you can earn more over the next couple of years, and at the end, an exact breakdown of what this could look like. Before we get into that, I'd like to take the big goal and kind of break it down. So if you're trying to save $100,000 inside of 1 year, you're gonna need to save $273 per day, which is pretty extreme for most people. I know I definitely couldn't do that. So if you take that timeline out a little bit, you bring it to 2 years, that's $136 that you have to save a day. Much more attainable, but still pretty hard. So that's why I landed at 3 years. This is roughly what it took me, and that's just around $92 per day. And right now we're gonna explain exactly how to do that. So first off, this is where most videos would tell you to cut out having your coffee every single day. And while that can help you get to your goal a little bit faster, that's not where we're gonna start. In fact, the first point is to not cut out entertainment. And why that is because your entertainment budget is generally around 5% of your overall budget, but it's also where you get most of your enjoyment. So if you're one of those people who struggles saving money and you can't seem to stick to a budget for more than a couple weeks or a couple months, maybe don't cut out the things that you enjoy most and instead focus on some other things, which I'll talk about. Obviously, you're gonna get there a lot faster if you can cut out some wasteful spending, or you can find ways to enjoy yourself for free. But I know when I first started out, I went way too extreme cutting out my entertainment budget, and I definitely regret that. So maybe if you're on the extreme side and you're buying $300 shoes and going out and spending a couple $100 every weekend on drinks, that might be something that you want to cut out. But don't start off with cutting out your happiness. Instead, start with your big three. Your biggest three expenses in order are going to be your housing, transportation, and then food. As far as housing goes, it's definitely the hardest one to cut, but it will make the biggest impact in your budget because it's the biggest thing in your budget. So maybe over the course of the next year, look into moving to a different location, moving closer to work, moving to a cheaper place, renting out a room on Airbnb, maybe even looking into house hacking where you can buy multifamily with a 3.5% down first-time homebuyer loan, live in one unit, rent the other units out, allowing you to cut out your housing expenses entirely. So instead of cutting out going out to dinner all the time and coffee and this type of stuff to try to save 100 or 200 a month, you could save multiple hundreds just by living in a different location. Then we have transportation. As we know, new cars are extremely expensive. They lose so much value as soon as you drive them off the lot. My favorite thing to do was to buy like a 5 to 7 year old car, drive it for a couple years, and then sell it for roughly what you pay for it. After the initial investment of money to buy that car, this pretty much brings your car expenses down to zero. You pretty much just have gas. So getting things like a Honda Civic, a Toyota Corolla, a cheap, reliable, low-cost car can take one of your bigger expenses and make it really, really cheap. The last one is going to be food. There's so many different ways that you can save money on food. We actually did a podcast on this and other ways to save money. It's 50 ways that you can save money without really trying all that much. I'll leave a link down below if you guys want to check that out. There's a lot of other ways to save money in there that we can't get into in this video. However, I'll just give you my top one, which is to use one of my partners, Mint Mobile. Now, if you don't know what Mint Mobile is, it's probably because you're not my friends and family, because I've told everybody I know about it. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month. That's so much cheaper than I was paying before. And it's not like crappy service. It's built on the nation's largest 5G network. And because they don't have the salespeople and the crazy overhead, they pass that savings directly on to you and me. They have flexible data depending on what your needs are, anywhere from $15 a month all the way up to $30 a month for an unlimited plan. You can even like cut out your Wi-Fi and just use unlimited. If you want to check them out, you can use the link down below to get started for just $15 a month or unlimited for just $30 a month. It's super simple to do and you can save a lot of money. Forget the Jonases or the Joneses or whoever it is nowadays. This is the mindset shift that you have to make if you want to save $100,000 and you're not just earning like a bajillion dollars. Even if you are really, like there's stats that people earning 250K plus are still living paycheck to paycheck. And that is because they are trying to keep up with the Jonases or the Joneses. I don't know. And that's something that you have to stop doing. You have to stop worrying about what people think about where you live, what kind of car you drive, what type of clothes you have. It doesn't matter. If you make some changes in your life over the next 3 years, you will have $100,000 in your bank account and they will not, because of a few decisions, because they want to fit in with everybody around them, and you only care about your future, your freedom, your happiness, and you don't care about what other people think about you. But saving $100,000 isn't an easy thing. If it was, everybody would do it. And that's why you have to start earning more money. At a certain point, you can only save so much and you have to start actually earning more, because if you cut out all your expenses, but you don't increase your income, then there's a cap on how much you can save. So for me, this is where I focused on 3 main ways of making more money. Number 1 was taking whatever job you have and seeing if you can make more money at that job. It's gonna be the most effective, quickest way to increase your income. So if you can study extra, make yourself more valuable, work overtime. Although I'm not a huge fan of working harder, I prefer to try to work smarter and increase how much you're getting paid per hour. But find a way to change jobs, change locations, change companies, get a promotion at your main job, and put in however much effort it takes to do that, because that will really increase your bottom line. And then after that, or if you don't want to really move up at your company, you can start a side hustle. There are so many different side hustles you can do. There are pretty much 2 different ways to make side hustles. One is to start a business that probably won't pay you immediately, but maybe over the next couple of years, it can really scale and earn you a lot of money. That might be something like a YouTube channel. Starting most type of businesses will take a lot of work up front, but then can pay you pretty much indefinitely. Or if you want to be more immediate, you can do something that involves like trading your time for money. This would be something like DoorDash, working a part-time job, doing something on Fiverr, being like an assistant, so many different ways to make money. But something that I did was I always tried to first live on half of my income that I was making at my main job, which took me an extremely long time to be able to do that by implementing all these things we're talking about. And then everything I make from my side hustle, I put right into savings, and I just pretend that it doesn't exist. And that money has really changed my life. Now, if you haven't noticed yet, one thing I didn't say was investing, because for most people, your first $100,000 is not actually going to come from investing. Maybe 10 to 15% of it might, but for most people, it's going to be by lowering your expenses and raising your income. There's a quote that the first 100,000 is and that's definitely true, because you're not going to have time to take advantage of compound interest. Instead, this is going to be really reliant on the choices that you're going to make. This is where you're going to have to do 2 things. The first one is to pay yourself first. Every time you get your paycheck, take a percentage, take 1%, 2%, move it up a percent every month, whatever it is for you, and transfer that immediately into a high interest savings account. You can take advantage of some of the ones right now that offer a lot of money, and then continue to just cycle money in there automatically, so you never touch it, you never see it, you pretend it doesn't exist until you're saving more and more, and you're figuring out how to live on less because you just don't have more money. The next thing is to set that clear goal, commit to it, and then break it down into actionable steps. So let's take saving $100,000 in 3 years. What does that look like? That looks like $92 per day, but what does that look like? Well, it might look like this. You cut out some random expenses like making coffee at home, cutting out some shopping, lowering your monthly subscriptions, maybe $15 per day. You get a raise at your job or work a new job. This might be $10 a day. You start a side hustle, you work an extra hour to 2 a day. This might land $40 a day. Eventually, as you start saving up money, you make some return on your investments, $7 a day. You cut your housing and transportation just by a little bit, $20 a day. You add that all up, that's $100,000 that you could save over 3 years. I know this is possible because I have done it even when I was earning like at or below the median income, because I worked on lowering my expenses and raising my income. It might sound simple, but that's all there is to it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. You can also check out the podcast below for 50 other ways that you can save money that are extremely efficient. And if you want to start investing, you can open an account and get up to 12 free stocks with Webull when you open and fund an account. Link is down below. I'll see you in the next one.
Hey there, it's Ryan Reynolds, owner of Mint Mobile. Enticing, right?